So, I didn't really want to go down this path. Like, I believe I mentioned it in the updated intro video that I believe I've uploaded. I am too old to be shoving my dick into every hornet's nest available. But I made this video a while back, wasn't really happy with it, scrapped it, put it back to the planning phases, forgot. Recorded it again, crap happens that I wanted to mention, recorded it again, hated it, scrapped it, removed stuff. Yeah, I may be taking this YouTube thing too seriously. Just throwing that out there. But now, I've started hearing other people talking about it as well. So, yeah, why the hell not try to make it and see what other people think? Yeah, you're right. I'm just talking to the void like usual, but at least now I can hopefully get this video out there so I can't scrap and redo it. Once it's uploaded, I'll have to make a follow-up. I don't know if I have the energy to do that. But, I mean, hey, someone someday may see this and in the future and think, wow, this person saw that coming. He really got the hang of basic pattern recognition. So, to set the stage, hey, I'm a pessimist. It's by choice. Based off my life so far, let's just say I'm usually right when I say shit's about to hit the fan in some way. I know it's just safer, right? When things don't work out, you're prepared for it. When things work out, it's a pleasant surprise. But am I the only one who's just waiting for another video game crash to happen? Like seriously, I know I'm not. In fact, I've heard people claim that we are in one. I'm not qualified to go that far. Not really qualified for most things. I mean, just check out my audio balancing. But just in case someone's watching this, high bar, I know. That was too young to know what a video game crash is. Back in the 80s, I think. I think it lasted from like 83 to 85. And it was basically credited to market saturation and fuck all quality control. But there was so much absolute trash. Most popular thing to blame is E.T. on the Atari. I'll see if I'll link a video or something so you can see the absolutely stellar game design. Maybe AVGN did a video on it. Let me check. Yes, he did. So I'm linking that if YouTube would give me a link, that is. Why isn't he giving me a link? I'll see what I can do. While I'm on my browser, let me find exact information on the crash. Well, according to Google, I wasn't around back then. I'm not that old. But I'm familiar with it. But the video game crash, according to Wikipedia, and here I go having to read out loud again, so always works out. I can read. It's just that when I try to read out loud, horrible things happen. The video game crash of 1983, so about 7 years before I popped out, known in Japan as the Atari Shock, was a large-scale recession in the video game industry that occurred from 1983 to 1985. Yeah, so I was correct on that one. Primarily in the United States. The crash was attributed to several factors, including market saturation in the number of video game consoles and available games, many of which were of poor quality, waning interest in console games in favor of personal computers also played a role. Home video game revenue peaked at around 3.2 billion in 1983, which I guess inflation and shit would be like 9.79 billion in 2023, then fell to around 100 million. So 3.2 billion to 100 million by 1985. According to Wikipedia, it's a drop of almost 97%. I don't want to do that math to verify that. The crash abruptly ended what is retrospectively considered the second generation of console video gaming in North America. To a lesser extent, the arcade video game market also weakened as the golden age of arcade video games came to an end. Lasting for about 2 years, the crash shook a then booming video game industry and led to bankruptcy of several companies producing home computers and video game consoles. Analysts of the time expressed doubts about long-term viability of video game consoles and software. The North American video game console industry recovered a few years later, mostly due to the widespread success of Nintendo's Western branding of its Famicom console, the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in October 1985. The NES was designed to avoid the missteps that caused the 83 crash and the stigma associated with video games at the time. Does any of this sound familiar? Market saturation, poor quality. If not, let me ask you a couple of questions. How many games on average gets released in a week? I don't know, it's a lot. That's what I do know, it's a lot. How many games released in a year is actually worth a damn? Not many. And by worth a damn, I mean not a buggy, half-assed, unfun piece of crap, sure. That they're going to shove full of microtransactions way the hell before they actually fix it to be a worthy product, if they actually ever fix it to be a worthy product. Like to avoid turning fanboys into rabid attack dogs, I won't mention any names, but I recently bought a game. Game came out in 2022, according to Google, patched from what I can see multiple times, and it's probably only major patches mentioned. It has paid DLC. Still runs at a maximum of 25 frames per second, and that only goes down the longer the game is running somehow. And before you play my computer, it's a console game. It is incapable of keeping a reasonable frame rate. And as the frame rate goes down, the game gets buggier. But boy, did they make DLC that they charge you I don't know for. And since it's a console game, and exclusive to a specific console, might I add, the developers knew exactly the sort of specs they were working with, and they still fucked it up. So fuck you, you fanboy fuck. So games are being released at a worse and worse quality. So quality, that's two of the causes right there. We are drowning in games since anyone can make a game. It's not just so-called AAA shitfests being released. Anyone willing to fork over the cash for stuff like RPG Maker can make a game. Anyone willing to learn Unity or Unreal can make a game. And then there's the quadruple A. I'm not sure what that means, but it sure as fuck ain't something Ubisoft will be able to make. Call it a hunch. So, saturation and lack of quality. Let's add corporate greed. Dipshit publishers who don't want to spend cash on making the games will demand the game gets rushed out as quickly as possible so they can start earning all of the money. Forgetting the age-old saying, you have to spend money to make money. Let's rush out some cheap piece of garbage and charge 70 to $100 for it. A year before it's even fucking done. With so many versions of it that you need a fucking spreadsheet to know which one is right for you. I just mentioned Ubisoft. Wasn't there something about Ubisoft recently? Something about another subscription bullshit? Yeah. Fuck. Like, I could go on and on about everything wrong with the video game industry today. But I don't want to make this a 10-hour video. And that is if I don't start repeating myself. I feel that the only thing that stands in the way of at least a mini crash is not enough people have realized how massive their backlogs are. Seriously, go to your Steam, Epic, whatever it's called on console. See how many games you have bought. Just sitting there. You haven't even installed some of those games you bought off Steam summer sale 40 years ago, have you? I know I'm guilty of this. Oh boy, am I ever. Basically, it's been my focus after returning to YouTube. Getting through games that I bought and never played or stopped playing for whatever reason. At least the ones that the developers haven't, or publishers or developers, I don't know. The games that I bought and I still have access to. Because that's another thing. I might get back to it later. No, seriously, look at whatever list you have. How many of those games have you beaten? How many of those games have you played? How many of those games have you installed? I'm sure MMOs would be fine, as people know what to expect more or less and are paying a monthly fee. A lot of people log in just to be social. So as long as they don't fuck with that in any way, I'm sure they will be fine. People are so invested in those worlds and their characters that I don't see any possibility that people will leave, permanently at least. I mean, people still play World of Warcraft after everything that's been going on around World of Warcraft, Activision, and Blizzard over the past 10 years, so it seems those games just become fucking immortal or some shit. But I feel that the new games market will go to shit within the next, 5 to 10 years. When people realize that you could just save the cash and spend the next couple of years playing older games that you already own. Again, unless they've been taken away. Because that's a thing. Which might cause people to get so pissed off that they'll find new hobbies. Like this whole idea that we spend this much cash and then we don't even fucking own the product we bought. Like, I don't know how legal that is, but I'm not a lawyer. I mean, we already see this happen, don't we? I'm pretty sure I saw something about that. Yeah, just looked it up. According to Kotaku, I don't know how reliable they are, but here we go. On April 2nd, 2024, 60% of playtime in 2023 went to 6-year-old or older games, new data shows. Great, another link I have to remember. I'll try to put them in the description, but YouTube didn't like that last time I tried, so no promises. I mean, this tells me that customers are obviously unhappy with the current state of things. Publishers don't care, and therefore developers can't make good and fun games, and have to push out unfinished crap. Just get it out the door before it's even fucking done. Like, being a game QA tester has to be like the easiest job in the world right now.
So when do we start testing that game? Oh, it was released last week. Still getting paid, right?
It gotta be easy. And it's not just like I have a sneaking suspicion that 99% of publishers barely know what a game is, let alone having played one ever. It's just this thing, we bought a bunch of stocks or whatever, and I don't know, we're making a shit ton of cash. And what happens when the game doesn't sell? Developers are blamed and fired, making the problem worse. Because as we all know, the people on the floor making the games are expendable. The shitholes on top leeching off the income while drinking coffee and barking orders are obviously more important, therefore safe. Forgetting the leeches wouldn't have had that job if it wasn't for the pricks on the floor earning the cash that they leech off them in the first place. Talk about biting the ass you're fucking, right? I see two futures for gaming, and keep in mind, pessimist. Mini crash. People stop buying games, start playing old games that they already own. New games market goes to shit, people get fired, and it all just spirals out of control. And I'm not sure if Nintendo can save us again. You know, lightning not striking twice and all that. 2, publishers goes bye-bye, and more developers start self-publishing their games. That way, the people who should be making the decisions make them, and the greedy shits can go fuck themselves. Or I guess there is a third. Things stay this way, but people in charge are realizing they're fucking themselves and everyone else involved over and fixes their shit. But let's be honest here. That ain't happening. Like, I don't see things as they are now working out for much longer. Especially not with all this talk about AI. People get fired, rich assholes on the top gets richer since they don't have to pay more than whatever the AI costs, which is probably not cheap, but they get that back. And then we will truly get some soulless shit, making everything even worse, pissing people off even more, and then boycott starts happening. So, just to sum things up, I feel like might have gotten a little bit too ranty. The crash of 83 happened primarily due to saturation in a number of video game consoles and available games to poor quality. For the past several years, the gaming industry has been plagued with 1. Saturation, 2. Poor quality, and let's add, for my sake, 3. Greed, ruining any joy we felt in the past. Because the wrong people got too much power. It's like fucking Norway or some shit. And I'm putting a lot of blame on publishers, as I would like to believe. You know, here's me being an optimist. I would like to believe that if you want to be a developer of them video games, you probably care about video games. Then again, I could obviously be wrong. Back in my day, you went to the store, you picked up a game, you went to checkout, was told the price. In my case, you put the game back because you couldn't fucking afford it. But them rich kids paid, and then they went home, they slapped the thing into whatever console, and that was it. I don't remember any DLC for GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. I don't remember having to buy DLC maps for Super Smash Melee. You know, having to pay for multiple save slots in Metal Gear Solid 3. Not just that, but new games aren't fun. They've been ruined by the before mentioned greed. You pay say $80 US. Let's go somewhere in the middle, 60 to 100, yeah, like 80, 85-ish, right? For a half-assed live service full of microtransaction, paid DLC, I'm hearing rumors about ads being put in games. They will probably flash a monthly subscription to avoid ads thing to like pops up in your face every 10 minutes, you know, paid subscription on top of a paid subscription. Like, I'm looking forward to paying that for every developer. One for Ubisoft, one for Capcom, one for Square Enix. You know, along with their, what was it that the Square Enix dude had such a fucking boner for? Like Web 3.0 bullshit, I think. I don't remember what it's called. I didn't pay attention to that shit. I knew that shit was doomed. A gameplay is basically daily chores. Full of bugs and half-assed game design. A year or two later, they make you pay for the same, more or less the same fucking game, and the same DLC again. Just with a higher number in the title. Don't believe me? Well, I can't verify this. I've seen things. People out there play the COD games, the Call of Duty shooter, man. How many times have you paid for the same accessory on your weapon with real money? Because from what I see, you can't bring it with you to the next game, and more or less identical shit is in the new game. And then they take the old game away, forcing you to buy the next one if you want to, like, revisit the world, I guess. Again, back in my day, you bought a game, that was the end of the purchase. Game worked well enough to be enjoyable. You played till you're sick of it. As long as everything was maintained, you can load up an NES right now and play a game you bought in the fucking 80s. Now when you buy a game, it's a fucking commitment. Forced online, even single player games require you to be online sometimes. Was it the mobile version of Final Fantasy VI I couldn't play because of a blackout? It's a single player game on the SNES. The fuck you mean I need to be connected to the goddamn internet? Like, apparently you don't even own your own games, which, you know, again, not a lawyer, but it's gotta be fucking illegal, right? Imagine buying a car. I know there's a difference, but hear me out. Imagine buying a car. And then when the next, say, I don't know, I don't want to get sued. Pick a car brand. Imagine buying one. A year later, they released a new version of it. You go out your front door, you go into the garage, and your car's fucking gone. Just a little note that says, fuck you, buy the next one. I get that there's a difference between 70 to 100 US dollars and whatever the hell a new car costs, but I feel my point is there. That would not fucking fly with the car thing. Why does it get to fly with video games? Well, money, probably, and corruption, but there we go again, Norwegian, hello. Like, games still had bugs in them. Games still had bugs in them. Yes, but like nowhere near, in my experience, as they do now. Game-breaking bugs, glitches, randomly save files gets corrupted, just to mention a few things that should have been caught in QA testing.
Hello.
And this was the whole point with the seal of approval that I will try to get on the screen somehow in case someone's too young to remember them. Like, it was a badge of honor. It was approved by Nintendo as a good enough game. Because back in the day, they couldn't just patch it down the line. Shit had to work. Now. Not 2 years from now. Now. So we can kind of blame it on like the ability to patch. Like, technology got to a point where they can like change things later. They couldn't do that back in the day. Not that patching seems to have fixed a whole lot in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Oops.